Our next guest is often cited as one of the most inspirational architects of our time, and his work embodies a rare optimism that is simultaneously playful, practical, and immediately accessible. And he's here at South by to talk about a moonshot for affordable housing. Please welcome Bjarke Ingels to the South by Southwest studio. Did I pronounce that properly?
Beautifully, like my mom would.
But if your mom was Bjarke, right? Close? First of all, listen, I said this to you before. It takes a rare breed of man to wear all green, but to pull it off well. You, sir, have pulled it off well. So respect.
Thank you.
And I think that's an AP on the wrist.
It is.
I'm a watch guy, so well done. Form, function, and beauty all in once. Some of your, if you will, masterworks include the following. The two World Trade Centers, the Google campus in Mountain View, I've been there. The Oakland A's MLB Stadium, been there because I'm from the Bay, among many others. Impressive, large-scale projects. And you've created this, and now I'm asking myself, why are you here at South by talking about affordable housing?
It's actually because this is one of the powers of South by is that 4 years ago I came here and I heard stories of a startup company that had printed a small, single-room dwelling in a backlot somewhere in Austin that was printed with a kind of house-scale 3D printer, one of the first of its kind.
Jason Ballard, who was sitting right here last year and told us about it.
Exactly.
3D printed houses.
3D printed houses. So I went to see it. I heard the company was somewhere in Austin. I went to visit the company. I got to meet Jason. And since then, we've been working on a sort of whole array of different sort of applications of this technology, from everything from affordable housing in Mexico to the first building for mankind on the moon.
You know, it's
and everything in between.
Which is totally normal. But what's so cool is Jason was here last year, and all of us were floored by what he was doing. And like you said, he had a makeshift house in Austin. He's like, yo, come by and visit. We're like, there's no way. There's no way they could print a house. And you saw the house, beautiful, sleek, affordable, functional. And he said, listen, yeah, I can do this, and we can mass produce it. We could probably fix the housing crisis. And yeah, we're on the moon, potentially, working with NASA. And I think it's one of those beautiful things about South by, because everyone says, oh, South by, you network. This was actual networking. You came here, you fanboyed, you went, and now 1 year later, you guys are fusing your powers together like a superhero team.
No, absolutely, absolutely.
It's one of the situations where when you approached him, what was his response?
No, we were he already knew of a lot of our work, and I think we had very sort of similar thoughts about both how to sort of how to revolutionize sort of the construction industry through technology and scale, but then also we were both doing some active studies for how we might actually be able to build and live on the moon and Mars in a not so distant future. So it definitely felt like a kind of an obvious coming together from maybe two different parts of the process.
You know, not all of us can live on the moon. Most of us will be living here on Earth, for better and or for worse.
It's very nice here on Earth.
Yes, but for many folks it isn't. You know, for many folks, they're like, especially in America, world's most powerful country, world's most wealthy country, they can't afford a home. And right before you came, one of our crew said, affordable housing, ha! Oxymoron in America.
Yeah.
Talk to us about the problem. I don't think people realize the housing crisis.
You know, you have I mean, of course, once you get into it, it's a very complex process. There's socioeconomics, the power of real estate. There's also an element of scarcity that, of course, drives prices up. So you almost have to attack it from a lot of different points of view. But I think one of the things where new technologies like additive manufacturing, which is the long form version of 3D printing, is that all the things we make many of, like washing machines and televisions and smartphones, they become better and better and better at a more and more attainable cost.
Next generations, next iterations.
Exactly. So 20 years ago, a cell phone cost the same as a luxury car, and it was the size of a
tank.
And it had no signal, and no one else had one, right? And then now, like, the richest billionaire and the student use the same smartphone. So in that sense, that's because of essentially scale, the powers of scale, and that's what technology and productization can give you, and essentially the 3D printer as the technology is now, and this Sunday we opened a pavilion here in Austin at the Long Center, a sort of an outdoor music stage where we're having a talk later today as well, and it's printed using one of these
cool.
third generation Vulkan printers, and essentially the amazing thing about 3D printing, the promise of 3D printing, is that the printer doesn't care how complex the design is, if it uses organic curvature, warped, complex dome-like shapes, hyperbolic paraboloids, a geometric form of a saddle shape.
I took geometry. I know.
Exactly.
But the beautiful aesthetics that are oftentimes accompanied by these big, beautiful towers that people think is unattainable for affordable housing, because oftentimes with affordable housing, it's like, oh, ugly hut. Be grateful.
Yeah, exactly. So in that sense, the 3D printer, all it cares is how long does it take to print, and how much material is it going to deploy. So you can make a square box, or you can make the most beautiful sort of organic domed house at the same cost. And because the 3D printer, it doesn't need coffee breaks. It doesn't get exactly, and it doesn't get cell phones from friends and clients and all kinds of things all the time. Cell phone calls. It can actually work tirelessly with the highest attainable accuracy. You can say over the last couple of decades, the way we design buildings has gotten very sophisticated because of technology, building information management, computer-aided design. But once we build the buildings, we typically take those very sophisticated 3D models, and then we print out two-dimensional drawings and give them to guys with hammers. So the 3D printer allows you to create the translation from data into matter without this loss in translation that typically happens with all of the sort of humans coming in. Like the 3D printer literally prints exactly what is intended.
And you're talking about you don't need the humans, but this is trying to help human beings, right? And the question then is, I was convinced when Jason was here, and we went and saw it. You actually see it. You're like, wow, this is real. The question then is about scale, because the problem is immense. Thanks to climate change and income inequality, and thanks to rising costs of these goods and services due to the pandemic, even constructing something now, the cost of wood. People are like, I can't make this. I'm trying to find a home. I can't build it. But 3D printers makes it so much more affordable. But scale is still a problem. When can we get to a point where we can deploy this and really tackle the housing crisis in a way where we can create this for communities that desperately need homes right now?
Yeah, so maybe a few answers to your question, but like, for instance, with Icon, we are we're about to make it a little kind of village, a sort of an affordable village in outside Mérida in Yucatan, in a peninsula in Mexico. So that's sort of sending down a little fleet of the 3D printers. And
how many printers is that?
In this case, it'll be 4 printers that will show up on site in Mérida, and then sort of in a few months create a small village. Of course, this technology is still being developed. So from each generation or each iteration of the Vulkan printers, they've gotten much better. So like if you go and see the pavilion at the Long Center, you can see like pretty dramatic inclinations. You can see like these kind of organic curving walls. We're also playing with texture and color. So rather than the kind of monochrome gray cement, we're using different additives in the printing. So it becomes almost like a geological section of the warm tones of Austin soil that you see in the print itself. So you start seeing even though it is built by robots, it start having an artisanal quality.
Well, that's thanks to humans.
Thanks to some of the human choices.
Yeah.
But in the end, the craftsman is still the robot.
So the idea is human, the craftsman's the robot, but what's important here is that oftentimes when it comes to the poor, which is the majority, we say to them, you don't deserve beauty. You deserve this hut. Be grateful. And I think we sometimes forget that it's form and function, and everyone loves beauty. Everyone loves artistry. You know, it doesn't matter if you're low income or middle class. The fact that you can give them what they need, it functions as a house, but this can be now like something beautiful for people, something pleasurable to the eyes, a house where you want to live, right? I think talk about the importance of the aesthetics and the beauty here when it comes to 3D printing.
No, like some of my Swedish friends, they gave me a T-shirt that says, if you think good architecture is expensive, try bad architecture. and I think that the thing
very
is
Swedish thing to say.
Yes, exactly. but essentially the idea is that essentially the quality of design is that it is the amount of thoughtfulness and care that you have invested in how you're putting the things together. And you can say like in many ways what architecture is that it is the art and science of organizing all of the practicalities of everyday life in the most poetic way possible, or even more importantly, when you think about like affordable housing. For instance, in Copenhagen, we built a series of affordable homes in the city of Copenhagen, where in a way we try to restrain ourselves and create something extraordinary out of a lot of ordinary. And just to give you this one example, the homes are using the highest degree possible of prefabrication. So typically, if you stack modules, you actually end up paying extra because you end up having two walls against each other, and you have a ceiling and a floor up against each other. So there's an inherent doubling. There might be some efficiencies in prefabrication, but there's some doubling. And then also you end up maybe restrained to the box. So what we came up with was actually to only prefabricate every second module, so they sort of sit between each other, and then the next one goes in between, and you get an in-between space for free. All you have to do is enclose it on the other side. But as a bonus, you have typical sort of 8.5, 9 feet in the normal prefabricated units. But then in that in-between space, you actually get an additional 3 feet of ceiling height.
So you get more space.
So you get more spacious living. So now, when they opened on day one, there was almost like a Soviet-style line of people queuing to be able to rent. And now, sadly, the waiting list is 50 years to get into that home. But just shows you that there is a way to make affordable housing that is actually more beautiful, that takes advantage of the constraints and takes a lot of ordinary and creates something extraordinary out of it. And essentially, what we are here to announce today, also down by the Long Center, where you can also, if you come to the talk, you can also see the pavilion outside. There'll be a little celebration afterwards. But essentially, that I kind of sort of course, has with 3D printing a lot of the answers of how to use technology and the power of scale of technology to address affordability, but essentially is creating an open call to all architects on Earth.
All open call to all architects on Earth.
Exactly, to make proposals for how to create a beautiful, dignified home for a maximum cost of $99,000.
Wow.
And of course, it's greatly encouraged to take advantage of the powers of technology, including 3D printing. But essentially, it is an open call, and we're just curious to see if there's a total prize sum of $1 million. So
you heard it here first. Architects who are listening, and I know some of my greatest loyal fans are architects. You have a call right now. You can win $1 million if you can send a proposal for a house with beauty, with form, with function that can be constructed using the Icon 3D printers for under.
Not necessarily, but
No.
not necessarily Icon, but it would be definitely a way to get there. But for $99,000, a beautiful, dignified, affordable home.
With the prize attached of $1 million.
Absolutely.
Whoever wins.
Exactly. And it's my privilege to be a part of the jury to go through the proposals that are coming in. So it's clearly like a very large problem worth tackling.
Wonderful. And the fact that you've did this open call and the fact that you're inviting your colleagues around the world to participate and giving them a little cherry on top with $1 million, I'm expecting big things. No pressure.
Absolutely. I look forward to opening those packages.
So there's another good announcement that I want to make, and this is for Texans. Talk to us about your partnership with local legend and hotelier Liz Lambert.
Thank you. Yes. So I had the privilege of celebrating my birthday last year.
25?
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. You guessed it. At El Cosmico in Marfa. This like incredible glamping destination. Of course, Marfa, West Texas, in itself is a kind of a pilgrimage destination for aficionados of art, not least the sort of minimalistic art of Donald Judd and some of his fellow artists. But in Marfa, we have now designed together with Liz Lambert and Icon the future of El Cosmico 2.0, you could call it, where using the soil of the West Texan desert, creating these 3D printed structures that have these kind of cosmic geometries, taking full advantage of the sort of the latest possibilities of the 3D printers, so you can sleep in a kind of domed hut under a skylight, admiring the starlit skies of the West Texan desert. So essentially, find yourself surrounded by all these kind of surreal organic shapes that are now possible with this kind of very simple and affordable technique. So like Liz Lambert sort of, I think, pioneered the idea of glamping, the idea that luxury is not a question of how cushioned your room or your place is. And I think with the Cosmico 2.0, we're taking glamping to the next level.
To the next level. Moonshot glamping.
Exactly.
When are you going to unveil it? When do you think we can see it? And when can we actually glamp in these structures?
Yeah. So I would say if you come to the Long Center today at 1:30, you can see the Liz Lambert Cosmic Pavilion at the Long Center has a lot of the qualities and the texture and color and forms you'll find in Marfa, and you'll also be able to see some of the images of El Cosmico, and this summer you'll be able to of course see the greater presentation, and if you so desire, there you can buy yourself a Sunday home.
If you so desire. Final question. I got 30 seconds, but you've created a lot of brilliant architecture. I mentioned at the top, right? The Oakland MLB Stadium. I'm from the Bay. World Trade Center, the Google headquarters. Out of everything you've created throughout your entire career, which one's your baby? The one you love the most?
I mean, first of all, you should never ask a mother to choose between her children.
But I will.
Exactly.
But I have.
No, but I do think that actually, sort of in the note of K99, I think, of course, if you're doing a cultural palace with sort of infinite possibilities, you can make something amazing. But to create the extraordinary out of the ordinary is really the toughest. And I think one of our projects in Copenhagen is a place where 500 people live, but it also has shops and offices, kindergartens, and it has townhouses. And we did it in such a way by putting all these ordinary elements together that you can actually walk and bicycle along this little neighborhood of townhouses that winds up the city block as if it was a landscape. So you can actually walk and bicycle all the way to the 10th floor and back down again. And that turns the city block from this kind of hermetic thing that you can only look at from a distance into a man-made landscape a three-dimensional community where the people that live there don't just have awkward encounters in the elevators, but
now they have awkward encounters
exactly,
all throughout, up and down.
A little girl on the 9th floor can walk down this like mountain path and visit her friend on the 5th floor.
Awesome.
So I think this idea that the power of architecture to create not just beauty and dignified homes, but also really create much more solid communities than if we don't try.
You're doing good work, sir. I appreciate it.
A pleasure.
And you're doing it in all green. Respect.
Yes.
You can see our complete schedule of upcoming studio interviews on our website at sxsw.com/studio. And these interviews are live streaming during the event on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/sxsw. I'm your host, Wajat Ali, and thanks for watching.